Right, okay, I'm live. Just waiting for a few people to jump on here. Okay, there's people jumping on now. Um, Good afternoon, everybody. And again, it's one of the another terrorist attack in the UK, and obviously, I suppose we've got to be careful what we say in terms of the anger that we're feeling, because we don't want to we don't want to say things that aren't true and things that are incorrect, but this is what it looks like to me. Now, this is what we know for sure. We know for sure that some lunatic with something strapped to his body that looks like a suicide bomb has apparently driven a small car into some Jewish people outside a synagogue and a Jewish religious school on Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. That's what it means. That's what Yom Kippur is. It's the Day of Atonement, which is very, very symbolic for both Jews and Christians in terms of the symbolism of what atonement means. It means atoning for our sins, and of course, the greatest Day of Atonement was the crucifixion of Christ. But putting all that to one side, this isn't a religious post. Well, it is in a way. It is in a way, because what we've got here is religious hatred manifesting itself, and it looks to me, now, nobody's saying this, but if you look at the image I posted there, I'll see if I can get this image into the feed here, guys. Just bear with me. I'll see if I can find this image and get it into the screen. Let's have a look. Right. I think this is here. Okay, there you go, guys. So this is the image of the attacker, the alleged attacker on the synagogue, and obviously, I'm sure you've all seen the. I'm not going to post the footage. I'm not going to post the footage of the shooting of this man, or of the what looks like a dead body lying in the street of an elderly Jewish gentleman. I'm not going to post that footage. I'm sure most of you've seen it. We don't need to have this sort of gore fest that we always have, because everybody's got a camera, everybody films everything that happens, and I think we've got to think about the dignity, not of this scumbag, because he deserves 20 bullets, not just in his body but in his head. And why the police didn't shoot him dead straight away, anyway, I'm not going to criticise the police. They got there quickly and they shot him eventually and killed him. So I think we can say it's good that this murderous suicide attacker has been taken out by the police. They've done their job. It's a pity they didn't do it with the killers of Lee Rigby. There's another story. But what has happened today highlights a major problem in the UK. And it is not just with the fanatical Muslims. We've got to say this very, very clearly. There are people of all political shades that take great pleasure in hating on Israel, and by default the Jewish people. Because the reality is, if you hate Israel, you do by default hate the Jewish people. It's as simple as that, because Israel is the Jewish homeland. It's the ancestral Jewish homeland. It's biblical. And anyone that knows my theology, I'm not one of those wacko dispensationalists that believe God has a different plan for Israel than he has for the church and for Christians. But what I do know is that there's promises in the Bible to the Jewish people about the land of Israel, and there's promises in the Bible about the Jewish people going back to that land. So Israel and the Jewish people are inextricably linked, and any Jew that I know loves Israel and also is passionately defends the Jewish people in the UK. And I am in a rather unique position. I have a lot of Jewish friends. There's not a lot of Jewish people in the UK. 300,000, I think, 350,000 maximum. Many of them are leaving because of this sort of horrendous evil that's going on. But we've got to look at why this sort of horrendous evil is going on. And I think Keir Starmer, and I'm going to get stick for this, right? Because I know this has just happened. I'm going to get stick for this. I'm going to say it anyway. Keir Starmer, in signing off on a Hamas state, because that's what he really signed off on, in signing off on a Palestinian state, has absolutely given a green light to any nut job that wants to attack the Israeli and the Jewish community. And that's what I believe. I honestly believe that act was the most cowardice, devious, self-serving, wicked act that any British Prime Minister since probably Neville Chamberlain has carried out in actually totally betraying the Jewish people and the Israelis that were killed on October the 7th. Because that's basically what anyone that's recognised a Palestinian state has done that. So that's the first thing. So Keir Starmer and the entire cabinet that signed off on that, I think, my opinion is, they have blood on their hands. And sadly, it probably won't be the last blood that's on their hands. That's the first point. The second point is this. There's anti-Jewish hatred on the far right, always has been. And that's why we've always been, when I say we, I'm on about the Tommy movement, the what you want to call civic nationalist movement, which is what's represented by the Unite the Kingdom rally. We welcome our Jewish friends and our Israeli friends and neighbours to our events. And we love them and we want to protect them. And we, after October the 7th, we mobilised thousands of men to protect the war memorial when one of these Hamas hate marches was walking down the road. And I've opposed these Hamas hate marches on my own with other people. I've opposed them and I'll continue to oppose them because that's what they are. They're insidious hate marches. But people on the far right, they're okay with attacks on Israel and with hating Jews. They're okay because they buy into the old, Nazi conspiracy theories and all the rest of it. Okay? And then you've got the far left. You've got the communists. This is the irony of it. These people that stand against us calling us Nazis are the same people that every Saturday go on the Hamas hate marches. The far left are totally signed up to the Hamas hate marches. Jeremy Corbyn called them his friends. We know what's going on here. They're always pandering to the Islamist vote. They're always pandering to the pro-Gaza vote. They're always pandering to the extremism, to the extremists and the extremism. So the far right, the far left, equally to blame for anti-Jewish hatred. But the major culprits here, and I think this is where we've got to really think about this. The major culprits in this genocidal hatred of Jews are the Islamic extremists, the jihadists. And remember, there's 32% of Muslims in this country want Sharia law. 42% of mosques in this country are Deobandi, which is an extremist sect of Islam. 8% are Salafi. Another 3 to 4% are extremist. So over 50% of the mosques in the UK are extremist mosques. 32% of the Islamic community want Sharia law. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to very quickly check the stats here on what they thought about the Hamas attack. Just bear with me, guys, because I want to have a look at this. Percentage of Muslims that don't think Hamas was to blame for October 7th. I don't know if it's going to give me the genuine stats here. So look. Well, in May 2025, 50% of Palestinians said that Hamas' decision to launch the October the 7th attack was correct. I'm actually looking for the Henry Jackson one. Just bear with me. Okay, there we go. 46% of UK Muslims support Hamas, and the majority are skeptical about the atrocities. Right, so that was in 2024. That was what we got in 2024, and yeah, here we go. Here's the Henry Jackson Society poll. Only 1 in 4 British Muslims believe Hamas committed murder and are in Israel on October the 7th. Only 1 in 4. 52% of Muslims in the UK want to make it illegal to show a picture of the fake prophet Muhammad. 52%. 52%. Nearly half of British Muslims would back the removal of an MP if they took a different stance on the Israel-Gaza conflict to them. In other words, if they supported Israel in that conflict. So this is, and the reason I'm talking about that, okay, you can say, right, whatever, the not all Muslims are like that. I'm not saying that all Muslims are like that, right? And we're not going to go down that road because it's a pathetic road to go down. But what we can tell from the polling is that there is massive support for anti-Israel, anti-Jew hatred among Muslims in the UK. Now, is this guy? I mean, he looks white. I mean, he looks like a white guy, doesn't he? But he certainly looks like a Muslim by his the cut of him. We don't know yet. We don't know who's done this. We don't know who's done this. But I would say odds on it's going to be a Muslim terrorist, whether he's a convert, whether he's one of these guys that's been radicalized by the Muslim Brothers in prison, whether he's a white convert, or whether he's just come from a fairly white area of the world that happens to have a large proportion Muslim, like Chechnya or one of the Russian republics or Turkey or even Syria. We don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is that this crazy guy has murdered people on a Thursday afternoon in Manchester because of their religion. We know that. I think we can say that without a shadow of a doubt. And anything more than that is speculation. But I say it's pretty well informed speculation, and I would be absolutely gobsmacked if he's not a Muslim. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. You'd love to know if he was shouting Allah Akbar as he was driving his car into the people outside the synagogue. So the point is this, that when people talk about radicalization, we have just seen a Labour Party conference where hatred and vitriol and poison was spewed against the majority British community that support what happened on the 13th of September in London. The mass march, the mass peaceful mobilisation of British people of all races, and the venom and the poison spewed out by people like Shabama Mahmood, David Lammy in his comments about Nigel Farage, and Farage is not even on the same page as most of those people that went on the 13th of September. But the hatred and the vitriol, and also the police activity and the targeting of people who are involved in our movement by the police in various different ways, it shows you. This is Keir Starmer. You were talking about an enemy. The guy on the screen there, he's the enemy. The guy on the screen that you're looking at, he is the enemy, Mr. Starmer. It's not Nigel Farage. It's not Tommy Robinson. It's not all the good people that went out on Saturday the 13th of September waving the union flags. It's not the pink ladies. It's not the football lads. It's not the veterans. It's not anyone like that. This man that got shot dead, thank goodness, I'm glad he's dead. Not because I'm rejoicing in the death of the wicked, but because that man's a threat. And if that man was captured and went to prison, he would radicalize other people. He would continue to radicalize himself. And we would have to pay his debt for the next 30 or 40 years, or until he finally goes to stand before his maker and realize he got it all wrong on the religious stakes too. Well, he knows now, doesn't he? As he wakes up in hell. So I'm going to look at some of the comments. I'm so annoyed. Almost every time I come to England, I meet with my Jewish friends. I stayed with my friend Ian for 2 days over the Monday, Tuesday. Well, I stayed one night with Steve, one night with Ian. But the fact of the matter is that the Jewish community, as I've experienced, are the kindest, most welcoming, generous people I've ever come across. And they love the United Kingdom. They love the people of the United Kingdom. And we've got toe rags like this man. Whether he's a migrant, whether he's a convert, I don't care. Even if he's not a Muslim, I don't care. He's a scumbag. Because he's attacked the most gentle and kind people that I've come across, apart from Christians, obviously. But oh dear. Okay. I'm not religious, but I love my country, or I did. These religions enter our country, destroying our beautiful. I agree, Annie. They've got to be stopped. And the best way to stop them is by robust, strong Christianity that says, you know what? This religion is evil. What this religion is doing is evil. You've got to be able to say that. You've got to be able to look at a religious doctrine and say, it's wrong. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt, when you look at the life of Muhammad, you can say he was a wrong 'un. He was a wrong 'un. Marrying a 6-year-old, we'll not even say what he did when she was 9, but we all know what I'm talking about. Okay, that's what I've just said. I absolutely agree with that. When Keir Starmer signed off on a Palestinian state, he was signing people's death warrants. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's what I believe anyway. I would say so, David. I would say so. It's looking that way, isn't it? Yeah, you better believe it. That's right, Transport. I mean, the other thing is, here's the thing. Us doing what we're doing, the activists online, and I'm sure it won't just be me talking about this now. It won't just be me ranting and raving. But I want you to look, everyone watching this screen, I want you to look at that scumbag that has been dispatched by the police. Well done to the Greater Manchester Police for eliminating this evil, evil man. I want you to look at that man. And is that the future that we want in the United Kingdom? Or do we want a future where our kids can live in safety and peace, and Jewish schools don't have to be behind a massive wire fence? And people going to synagogue on their holy day don't have to worry about being killed. And people going to church don't have to worry about being killed. And people going to the Hindu temple and the Sikh temple don't have to worry about being killed on the way to worship in whatever way they see fit. Because the reality is, and I want us to think about this as well, ISIS, within the last fortnight, ISIS, in one of their rabid, radical publications, encouraged people to attack synagogues and to attack to attack churches. They actually said that. Go and kill the Jews, go and kill the Christians. That's what it said in the ISIS magazine. Okay? Some online publication that they do. That these dribbly, no intellect, low intellect, psychopathic, evil, demonic creatures take upon themselves to use as a blank check to go and kill innocent people. 1400 years of evidence, absolutely. I mean, the religion of peace. Let's get the Religion of Peace website up here. Let's just do a little thought experiment. Let's just have a look at what the Religion of Peace has done in the last few months or the last 30 days. Let's just have a look. Religion of Peace, where are you? Religion of Peace. You've got to love the Religion of Peace, haven't you? There we go, Religion of Peace. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. Okay, so in the last 30 days, now this probably isn't taking into account what has just happened in Manchester today, and how many. I'm just going to check with the. Just going to have a quick look at at Sky News, see what's happening with Sky News. So two are definitely dead. 2 have been killed, and the terrorist. So that's three people, including the terrorist. But you can't count the terrorist because he doesn't matter. He doesn't count. He doesn't count in the figures. These scumbags should never be looked at. They should never be looked up to. They don't count. What's important to the innocent people that have been murdered? So in the last 30 days, there's been 118, probably 119, because this one won't be counted in yet. There's been 119 Islamic terrorist attacks in 17 countries, in which 601 people have been killed and 417 people have been injured. So that's 1,000 people killed and injured this month alone. And of course, these figures oscillate. They go up and down. But that's what we know. No, they haven't updated it. They haven't got the latest attack, because obviously it hasn't been logged as an attack. Pakistan, a Fedayeen suicide bomber sends himself and 10 others to Allah. So in Quetta in Pakistan, 10 people were killed on the 30th of September. In Syria, Shia academic Maya Shaker has been murdered in his own home by Sunni extremists. Pakistan, 5 killed as terrorist leader bombing the road, claims 5 villages. Syria, HTS gunman. In other words, this is the government. HTS, remember what HTS is in Syria? That's the government of Syria that we're backing. And I'm sorry, I think we've got to start taking Islam extremely seriously, and talking about, is Islam as a whole, as a religion, is Islam compatible with Western civilization? I know my answer to that, and I've known my answers since 1984. I've known the answer to that question. But is the rest of the country going to wake up and say, actually, I think we need to look very, very seriously at what is happening with Islamic radicalization, political Islam, in other words, the infiltration of the democratic process by groups like the Muslim Brotherhood? Can we look at that? Can we have a discussion about that? Groups like Jamaati Islami, some of the religious sects that are very, very extreme. Can we start having a look at them and having a discussion about what's going on in the mosques? What's going on in these silos where nobody that's not a Muslim ever gets near them? What's going on? What's been discussed? What's happening? Can we at least have that discussion? And can we at least say, is it acceptable to have Syrian refugees coming to the country that aren't refugees, that are ex-terrorists? Is it acceptable to be bringing people from Gaza to the United Kingdom, even if it is for kids' hospital treatment? There's plenty of other hospitals in the Middle East where those kids to go to. That's purely virtue signalling. But what it's doing, it's allowing a foothold to be created. Because when you look at the radicalization in countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Gaza, the West Bank, you look at the way people think, and you can go and find the polling on the Pew Research poll from 2013, and it won't change that much in 14 years. They just stopped polling these people because they realize every time they poll them and ask them the questions, they get the right answers. And remember, even these statistics I've given you today are probably an underestimation, because a lot of people probably won't tell the truth when they've been questioned by these pollsters. Ban Islam, David Irving, ban Islam, we do not consent. I'll be honest with you. I'll be brutally honest. And this is where I vehemently disagree with Nigel Farage, okay? This is where I vehemently disagree with Nigel Farage. And Summer, I want to say this actually, because I am angry, but I want to say this to my Jewish friends, because my Jewish friends will be watching this. The vast majority of the British people stand with the Jewish people, 100%. And I 100% stand with the Jewish people. And I have done. I've done it since. I've done it since, I don't know, forever. But I've stood against these Hamas hate marches, sometimes on my own, or with one or two other people. I've done that. And and to these jihadists, we're not scared of you. We just think you're vile, disgusting scummers, and we want you gone out of our country. See all these people on the watch list? And Keir Starmer won't do it because he's a spineless snake of a man, right? He'd rather attack us for making videos like this. But every single person on that watch list should be deported. Every single foreign national that goes on those Hamas hate marches, they should be found, rounded up, and deported from whence they came. Every single one of them. I don't care whether you claim to be peaceful or not. If you're on a Hamas hate march and you originate in Iraq or Syria or wherever, I want you gone out of my country because you're bigots, you're anti-Semites, you're terrorist-supporting scum, and we don't want you here anymore. I'm going to be making a lot of friends today, guys. Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Paul. The killings in Nigeria are horrific. And here's the thing. Let's just get it right. Statistically, the more Muslims you have in your country, the more Muslim terrorism you're going to have. That's a statistical fact. And again, I'm not saying all Muslims are terrorists. But the more Muslims you have in the country, proportionately, it's just a fact of demographics. It's a fact of statistics. The more Muslims you have in the country, the more extremists you're going to have. And we have some of the most extreme Muslims in the world in our country. You better believe it. You better believe it, David. And again, I spend a lot of time, and I mention him a lot in my videos. I have a very, very good friend. I'm not going to say his second name, but he's called Ian. He has helped me out massively in, nothing is too much trouble. And other Jewish friends, I'm not going to mention the names because again, it's just, isn't that terrible that I'm worried about mentioning. Ian doesn't care. Ian's bold as a lion. He's not going to care if I mention his name. But I'm not going to mention other people's names, my other Jewish friends, because I don't want to put them in a position. Yeah, look at Poland. Oh, man. Just look at some of these comments here. We get called racist. We get called racists. We get called for being racist. Yet the mainstream media and government ignore the Nigerian Christians. The Nigerian Christians. I mean, I'm actually going to go to the Religion of Peace website and have a look at Nigeria here. And I haven't heard of anything in the last few weeks in Nigeria, but there has been stuff happening in Nigeria. Let me just see if I can find out what's happening in Nigeria. Yeah, 27th of September. Wow. So this stuff happened. I mean, we just don't hear about it. 27th September, Boko Haram roadside bomb kills 2 passers-by. Okay. 4 villages murdered by Boko Haram in Waga, Mongono. 3 police officers murdered by a Muslim militia in Kogi. 3 farmers killed by militant Muslims. 2 locals lose their lives in a raid on a village in Siana. Banki, a 9-year-old boy, is among 3 killed by Boko Haram. Think about that. A 9-year-old boy. These people are savages. And they are slaughtering Christians like they're killing chickens. They are absolute savages. Boko Haram, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and all their scumbag supporters in this country. I want you all gone out of my country. You're not English. You don't belong here. I want you gone. If you support Hamas and you weren't born in England and you're an import, I want you gone out of my country because you don't belong here. If you support a terrorist organisation, you don't belong here. You've got as much blood on your hands as the people that are carrying out these attacks. Israel. 2 Israelis, including a man in his 60s, are shot and stabbed to death by a Jordanian truck driver at the Allenby crossing. Nigeria. A target attack on Christians leaves 6 dead. Muslim militants murder a farmer and injure 2 family members. 13th of September. And on and on and on it goes. Democratic DRC is happening in the DRC. That used to be a strong Christian nation. DRC, Democratic Republican of Congo, they're having a problem with extremists. And that's because more and more Islamic extremists are moving into these areas. And are you telling me these people coming across on the boats that none of them are capable of doing what that man's just done in Manchester? Yep, absolutely. Muslims have been slaughtering Hindus and Christians in Pakistan, 100%. Agree. Can you imagine how many more innocent people will die by the time the next election comes? I'm sorry. These people. Listen, do you know what? Let's just talk some real facts here, okay? And do you know what? If I lose all my channels, I don't really care because it's about time somebody told the truth. I'm going to get that scumbag off the screen. I don't even see him anymore. Here's the truth, right? I don't have a problem with Christians coming to this country from Nigeria or the West Indies. If they've got different skin complexions to me, I don't really care, to be honest with you. I'm not bothered if we get Buddhists coming from Nepal. There's been a bit going on in Nepal. If some Buddhists come and they've got something to give, I'm quite happy for people that come from the Philippine medical people if we need them. I'm quite happy for Hindu doctors to come from India. Quite happy for people to come from Europe, to people to come from Eastern Europe, Western Europe, China. If they're not, as long as they're not subversives. If people are coming genuinely to help our country, I'm quite happy with that. As long as we aren't being put upon and made mugs of. If people are genuinely coming for the right reasons, I've never been a zero immigration person, right? And I've always wanted the people that come to our country, especially the Christians, to be welcomed as brothers and sisters, especially if they're Christians that are fleeing this sort of savagery. But I don't want any more Muslim immigration to the UK. I want net zero Muslim migration to the UK. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Because what we've seen since 2005, since those savages did what they did on the tube, not just what we've seen from that, what we've seen with the grooming gang scandal, it's all coming from one direction. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. In fact, I'm not sorry, I'm just stating facts. That's the truth. So I want net zero Muslim migration to the UK. Zero. That's it. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. And again, if this guy was a convert, well, if there wasn't a massive number of radical Muslims in this country trying to convert white people, there wouldn't be converts to Islam. And as well as that, what's the church doing? I wonder what the church are going to say. Do you remember the church that put out those vile letters against the Unite the Kingdom movement? Right? Now, I'm not talking about the true church, which is the people of God, right? I'm talking about the false church, these bishops and clerics and so-called evangelicals that condemned what we did on September the 13th, not realizing that the gospel was preached to more people on that day than they would ever do in a month of Sundays or in a million months of Sundays. So I wonder what the church will say about this. I wonder will it call for mass deportation of Islamic radicals? I wonder, will it? Will it? Because that's what I'm calling for. I want to see anybody who is a radical, Islamist, Muslim Brotherhood, Jamaati Islami, any of these extremist groups, I want to see them gone. I want to see all the people in the grooming gangs gone. Let's do a deal with Pakistan. Pay Pakistan to take them back and do what Pakistan does best with paedophiles. And I think we all know what that is. Oh, Grace, no, you're right. Listen, I live in Northern Ireland, Grace, so I'm not pushing the English thing. The issue is this attack's happened in England. I'm not an English nationalist. I love England. I'm a proud Englishman, but I'm a United Kingdom unionist. So I'm not giving it an English for the England, thing. That's not what I'm about. And anyone that's listened to me will know I'm not like that. Yeah. But no, I understand what you're saying, Grace. But it's not. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying, Grace, is that the people that are causing the problems in this country need to go. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Marky, I'm angry as well. This is the UK Labour and Tories. Yes, it is. It is. Absolutely. This is the UK that the Labour and Tories and listen, I want to say something, right? I don't believe reform's the answer to this. And I'm going to be political. It's going to be, this is going to annoy so many people because I know the attack's raw, and I know I'm angry, and I know a lot of people say I'm showing disrespect, but I'm not showing disrespect. I'm not showing disrespect. I love the Jewish community, so I'm not showing disrespect. But I am going to apportion blame where blame's due. The Labour and Conservative Party are in this up to their necks, and sadly, so is Nigel Farage, because Nigel Farage has made speeches saying that there's nothing we can do about Islamic demographics. There's nothing we can do about taking extremism on. You've just got to sit back and let it all happen. Let it wash over you. It'll be fine. Everyone will be in a Sharia state, but as long as you don't have any conflict, that's okay. That's pretty. I'm paraphrasing, okay? Farage didn't say that explicitly, but implicitly he did. He said, there's nothing we can do about Muslim demographics, and we can't push back against it, because it's going to be too costly. Well, I'm sorry. It's a good job we didn't have that idea in the Second World War, isn't it? The extremists have to go. The extremists have to go. And the grooming gangs have to go. The people that are in the grooming gangs, they have to be thrown out of our country. I wouldn't even send them to prison. I would just send them to Pakistan and pay Pakistan to put them in prison. And I think we need to stop. We need to. Stopping the boats is just not even. It's not even on the radar for these people yet. How many radicals have come across? We know what happened. Where was that guy from in Hartlepool that stabbed the pensioner? Terrorist attack, murdered an innocent pensioner. I think he was from Algeria. Come across on the boat. That Royal Marine Commando. He was a guy that wanted to join the Royal Marines and be a Royal Marine Commando, and he was killed before he even got a chance to serve his country by an Afghan refugee. Okay? It's out of control. And I know, mate, people go, oh, Richard, you're saying all this stuff, you're putting yourself in danger. Do you know what? I don't care. I don't care. My church is sounding anything like this. There's no sound churches in my area now. English Meadows, thanks for joining, English Meadows. I really do appreciate that. And we've got 1,000 people watching. This is lunchtime. This is lunchtime on a Thursday, and I know a lot of us are very, very upset by what's happened today. I mean, let's just see if there's any updates from Sky News or Sly News. Not that I'm a great fan of Sky News, but no, we've got nothing. Two people have been killed, and a suspect's been killed as well. So that's 2 people murdered by this savage. And if, the terrible thing is, if they can do this to a synagogue on a Tuesday afternoon, and there's a lot of security around synagogues, especially at this time of year. There'll be the CST guys will be there. They'll have their own security there. And if they can do this on a Thursday afternoon, say Tuesday on a Thursday afternoon, they could do it in a school. They could do it in a hospital. Remember the lunatic that tried to do it in a maternity ward in Liverpool? Blew himself up, I think, didn't he? 70 million have died for what we created, and 50% of the 8 billion now informed by internet want it. To get that one. Not sure how that is. Anyway. UK only wanted to watch the clean house. Yes, thanks, Mr. Knight. Thank you. Advance is your best bet. I mean, this is where we need to look at solutions, guys. We need to look at solutions, and the solutions we need Advance UK to be the main opposition party. We need Advance UK polling the same numbers that Farage is polling, and we need Advance UK to win the next election. I'm sorry, this would be the great irony in this, that Ben Habib, who is half Pakistani, half English, I think lived the first 11 years of his life in Pakistan. He, I believe, would do what needs to be done. because it's going to be extremely difficult for anybody to play the race card against Ben. And Ben is British to the core. If you listen to him speak, you listen to his rhetoric, and he knows what has to be done, and he knows that the problem is fundamentalist Islam. He said it. He said it. Farage won't say that. Farage won't say it. And again, obviously, he supports Tommy Robinson. And anybody that supports Tommy Robinson can't support Tommy Robinson if they don't support his politics. And this has always been my thing. I've always agreed with Tommy's politics right from the beginning. 100% on the same page with his politics, because he knows what the problem is as well. Gert Wilders knows what the problem is. Anne-Marie Waters still knows what the problem is. Obviously, she's gone quiet at the minute. Maybe she'll make a comeback. So there is a small number of brave politicians around the globe who know and understand what the problem is. But there needs to be more. Way too many of them will have bowed the knee to the Qatari petrodollar or the Saudi petrodollar or the UAE petrodollar. Okay? But the reality is we need brave politicians that stand up and say, no, there is a problem here. We've got a problem with radical Islam. We've got a problem with fundamentalist Islam. We've got a problem with what's euphemistically called Islamism. And of course, when this scumbag party that's in power managed to push through their Islamophobia definition, videos like this will first of all be taken down off the internet, and I'll probably be arrested for saying what I'm saying. But I have never once attacked Muslim people as individuals. What I've always done is attacked the wicked ideology that's contained in the Quran, the Hadith, the story of the life of Muhammad. That's what I've always stood against. And that's the most dangerous thing to do, because you insult their prophet, they're going to go off the reservation and they're going to come for you sooner or later. But you know what? I don't care. I don't care, because the reality is it is an antichrist religion. It is against everything that's good, and it needs to be opposed spiritually. And we do that by telling the truth about it and by calling out well, we all know it. If you want to know anything about Muhammad, or if you want to know anything about Islam, read books by Sam Solomon, Patrick Sadeo, get onto David Wood's YouTube channel. There's plenty of other people that have written great stuff about Islam and Islamic ideology. And we've got to realise that this is a big problem in the UK. I think it's the biggest problem facing the UK at the moment. That and the left. The left and the Islamists working together is an absolute nightmare for freedom. And this sort of stuff is going to happen again and again and again until someone has the guts. I've been saying this for years. The first time I spoke publicly about Islam was 1998 in a little church in the Shankill Road in Belfast. And the women in that church, a lot of their husbands, some of them have been murdered during the Troubles. Some of them were ex-loyalist prisoners. And they looked at me like I had two heads. But I think if any of them are still alive, they'll know that I was absolutely bang on and telling the truth when I spoke about Islam in 1998. And I warned them. I was warning people in the mid-90s what was going to happen. And it was certainly a voice crying in the wilderness. And still, it's a voice crying in the wilderness, because too few people. You see, that's the thing about Tommy. That's why Tommy's hated so much by the establishment. Not because he's done anything worse than any other working class lad's done. We've all got backstories, right? But Tommy's hated by the establishment. By the way, I'm not saying he's Saint Tommy. He's not perfect, right? And but here's the thing. He's hated by the establishment because of his stance on Islam. And as soon as you start talking about Islam, you will get cancelled everywhere. I mean, because there's money involved, there's power involved, there's fear involved, there's cowardice involved. Well, we've just got to say we're not afraid anymore. And I've never been afraid of it. We're not afraid of it. We don't fear it. We just hate it. Not Muslim people, but we hate the ideology. We hate what it's done, because the biggest victims of Islam are people that live in Muslim countries. Muslim women, Muslim children, different sects of Islam when they rub up against the paramilitaries from each side. They're the biggest victims. And why have we imported this in here? Why have we brought it into our midst? Anyway, we need to find solutions to this. We need to start deporting people. We need to start making sure there's proper security around churches and synagogues. Um, the laugh of it is when Axel Rudabakana, who I'm absolutely convinced was a Muslim when he did the attack, I can't prove it, but again, that's what I believe. We know from anecdotal evidence and from what Tommy told me and from what other people in Belmarsh who work in Belmarsh told me that he is a practicing Muslim. Um, when that attack happened, what did Keir Starmer do? Beefed up security around mosques. Not around churches, not around synagogues, around mosques. Go figure. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm going to have a look at some of these comments, guys, and then I'm going to leave you all to it. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Yeah. Yeah, we need to stick together because they are going to come from all of us. So is my volume bad? Guys, can you hear me okay? Is my volume okay on that? Didn't check it before I came on. Just let me know. Someone said, can I turn the volume up? Okay. Yeah, Islam will take the left out first. He's so Duntworth as well, not like fake 90%. I think you're talking about Ben there. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, Tommy, yeah, about Tommy. Yeah, Tommy. All tribe talker. They're all radical. That's what I mean. Tommy tells the truth and they don't like it. Absolutely. Ben on stage with the chant was it was funny. Oh, I'm not even going to hold my tip. Yeah, we'll forget about that for today. Join the van, sign the pledge. Yeah, this is it, guys. I mean, thanks for that, Mr. Knight. I was going to give some solutions. That's what we've got to do. We've got to sign. The pledge is really important because, with all the best will in the world, Advance is a political party. I'm a member of Advance. Is it going to be a perfect political party? No, because it's got people in it, and that's the problem with everything that we do. We humans mess up on a massively regular basis, and that's why we need the grace of God. Yes, yeah. Listen, absolutely. I wouldn't expect you to be loving me in that way at all, and I wouldn't appreciate it. It's not my thing. But no, thanks for that, yam yam. I think what we're managing to do, and again, I'm sorry for being a bit aggressive in this video, but I think there has to be times when we just tell the truth. We just tell the truth, and we tell it forcefully. And if we have to pay a price for that, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay. It's the Antichrist regime, Liber. Yeah, I agree with that. I was called a conspiracy theorist. Now I'm called a truth speaker. 100% correct. That's exactly what happens. But they never apologise for being wrong, do they, Lily? You know. Thanks for that, Heavenly Father, He who gave us His most divine Son, that we might know peace. Bless Richard and his lion heart with holy armour in the name of Jesus. Thank you so much for that, Sylvia's son. I really, really appreciate that. It's very, very kind. I'm disgusted with Keir Starlin. He doesn't speak for half of the UK. He doesn't speak for me. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Oh man, yeah, that's funny. Um, yeah, yeah. Islam is the issue. I've read the Quran like Tommy, and he's 100% correct. I mean, it's not just the Quran. You've got the Hadiths. You've got the biography of Muhammad. You've got all the um, Islamic jurisprudence. It's just, what have we done? I mean, well, we haven't done anything. What have our so-called leaders done? And when we stand up and talk about what the problem is, we're the ones that they come down on like a ton of bricks. And incidentally, I am not in any way calling for any vigilante violence or anyone doing anything stupid against Muslims, because that's not what it's about. What we need is a government. that takes action against the radicals, against the extremists, against the people that are here illegally, stops Islamic immigration, and deports all the grooming gangs and the people on the terror watch list and anyone who supports Hamas. That's what I want. I'm not. We don't want anyone taking the law into their own hands, because that is not going to work. We've seen what happened in Northern Ireland with that for 40 years. It's not going to work, guys. We need to be peaceful, but what we need to do is be very political, and we need to make sure that we get a party, i.e. advance, into power at the next election. It's a big ask. I know it's a big ask. We need a lot of help. And like that other person said earlier, sign the pledge as well, thepledge.org.uk. We need to really push this. Reform is, well, we know there's Fabians in it. We know there's Fabians have joined Reform. By the way, I'm not sure if it's my camera or if it's what's going on there, but because my little pictures were looking a bit wonky there, weren't they? Absolutely 100%. 100%. Reform is Tory Reformed. Wolf in Sheep's, absolutely. They're Fabians. Yep, absolutely. They're Fabians. So there's been a controlled explosion now as well that's probably for the guys, the guy that had the vest strapped to him. Oh well, he's definitely dead anyway, isn't he? They didn't get away with it at Glasgow Airport. Yeah, it went bad for them at Glasgow Airport. Schools have been shut down today. Someone with an axe been seen. Wow. Wow. Oh, Starmer will never apologise. Starmer will never apologise. Yeah, Nick's fearless lad. I mean, he's been doing some good stuff. He's not going to win an election, unfortunately, but he's a good lad. The Tory needs to hold their hands up and say, sorry, we let millions in. Of course they do. Of course they do. Absolutely. Now, again, we don't know who this guy is. We don't know who he is. We genuinely don't. He certainly looks like he's an Islamist, but we don't know for sure. So we're not speculating. We're not saying what he is or what he isn't. Because obviously, you know what will happen. They'll send the SWAT teams around if we do that. But my bet, I would almost put money on this being an Islamic terror attack. Be amazed if it's not. Having a Muslim should be removed. I couldn't agree more. I absolutely agree. Having a Muslim who's quite happy to say she's a devout Muslim in charge of counter-terrorism and border security is insane. No, it's not only the boats. It's mass Muslim immigration to this country. They want to take over. Not all of them, but the radicals do. The radicals have said it. Seen it on the podcast with that dodgy lawyer and those other scummy Islamists. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over. You're not going to take over. It's not going to happen. The British people are not going to. The British people are going to sort this out by politics. If we don't sort it out by politics, we are in for a world of pain. So we've got to sort it out politically. Everyone watching this today, over 1,000 people, please let me know in the comments. First question I'm going to ask is, are you registered to vote? Okay? Just put yes. If you're registered to vote, just put yes in the comments. Are you registered to vote? Just let me know in the comments, and we'll do a little poll. Are you registered to vote? Yeah, okay. Come on, let us know, guys, if you're registered to vote. I want to see how many people on here are registered to vote. Yeah. Let's keep it coming, guys. If you're registered to vote, all I want you to do is just put yes. There's over 1,000 people watching here. Yeah. Brilliant. Loads of people. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's the first question, right? That's the first question. Now, the next question, I'm not going to ask if there's an election tomorrow. I'm not going to ask that, okay? I'm going to ask, if there's an election in 2029, I want you to just give me two answers. Are you going to vote for Advance? If there's only two parties standing, would you vote for Advance or for Reform? If there's an election in 2029, and I'm not going to criticise people if they say Reform. I'm not going to criticise people if they say Advance, because I want everyone to vote Advance, because that's what I support. But just let me know in the comments. Would you vote Advance or Reform? Yeah, just let me know, just so I can have a look at what we got here. And yeah, UKIP. You can put UKIP as well if you want, guys. That's fair enough. But Advance, Reform, or UKIP. Yeah, Advance is smashing it, by the way. And this is just obviously a straw poll. I'm gonna have to start doing these polls on YouTube and Twitter, aren't I? Advance, Advance. Now I don't know whether it's I don't know whether it's skewed because most of my followers that supported Reform or still support Reform have fallen out of me and they don't follow me anymore. So that's a possibility. Um, UKIP, yeah, and do you know what? Like I say, if you're a Reform voter, let me know. I'm not gonna be, gonna be falling out. Um, SDP in Scotland, quite a few coming through for UKIP, which is interesting. Loads for Advance. I haven't got one person. Oh, there's one, Sam. Sam Aki. There you go, mate. You're still voting Reform, okay, mate. That's fair enough. So we've got one. We've got one Reform. Sam, we're not picking on you. We're not picking on you. Advance UK all the way. Paul Lockwood. Um, yes, registered. We're still getting people talking about being registered to vote. Um, and the survey says Advance. It really is looking like Advance. Now listen, that's obviously not scientific. I would say my viewership is very heavily skewed in favour of Advance UK, and it would have been heavily skewed in UKIP's favour maybe a few months ago, but I think on the whole, most people are saying Advance. We can vote our way out of this, guys. We've got to vote our way out of this. In a strange way, and I don't know how much more of this disgusting Communist Party I can stick, but we're going to have to stick it. In a way, for Advance UK, probably the later the election is, the better, because there's a lot needs done. Advance needs a lot of work done to before a general election for sure. But the leadership, the membership's going up. I mean. Reform if no advanced candidate. Well, I think Ben's going to have advanced candidates everywhere. That's the plan. There's going to be 600 or whatever it is that we need, yeah? Ben for number 10. I meant to say Reform the other year. Advance UK. Ben and Nick's Unite Shortly. Well, I think, do you know what? I mean, the problem is it's like anything. It's like when there's a senior partner, if you take over a business, or if you're in the business that gets taken over, the business that takes you over, they might give you a chunk of money, but you ain't going to be in control anymore. And I think that's a problem. Obviously, if Advance and UKIP merged, I mean UKIP, I think probably, I don't know this for sure, but maybe it's 2,000 to 3,000 members. That's a guess. Advance it's pushing 35,000 members. It'll be on 40,000 soon, and up it goes. So I think from the point of view, if Advance merge with Nick with UKIP, which is basically Nick's party now, isn't it? I think that it would just get swallowed up. So I get why Nick doesn't join with Advance, because he's not gonna be like, in a leadership position as far as I would know. Maybe he's got on the college or something like that, but it's just not the way it works. So that could have happened, maybe 6 months ago, but obviously there wasn't any appetite from UKIP then. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's like anything. I mean, we've got to be so strong by the next election that if Advance and Reform go head to head, that you still end up with a very strong right wing political movement that can run a government. I'm hoping that the Labour Party vote and the Conservative vote collapses so much that Advance could actually pick up a lot of votes from Labour and the Conservative Party, because the Advance is going to be a lot more working class than Reform. It really will be. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, keep going, guys. Keep let me know who you want to go for, who you want to vote for. Right, guys. Okay, listen, I'm going to shoot off, right? I haven't got a clue what I said in that live stream, but I was extremely angry. So let's just see what happens next. But yeah, I think we need to and pray. we need to pray for our politicians. We need to pray that we get the right politicians. We need to pray that this lot get put out. They are an antichrist bunch. You know, the laws that they've passed, the abortion up to 9 months, the assisted murder, um, the the Islamophobia definition of which they're trying to push through, the recognition of the Palestinian state, the attacks on the farmers, the attacks on the pensioners, which I think they reversed, didn't they, eventually? The attacks on everyone's finances, the digital ID. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. Oh, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Again, do me a favor before you go. Subscribe to Counter Media, okay? Counter Media channel. It's just go to YouTube, type in Counter Media UK, and subscribe to that channel if you're watching on Twitter or on the Richard Inman channel, because I want to get as many people across there as possible. And it's purely and simply, I'll be honest with you, we've got that channel monetized, and I want to get some ad revenue from Google. Because it makes it more possible for me to do this. The more money I can get in revenue, the more I can actually the more I can do this, because I don't have to do too much of my other work. So that's kind of just, so if you don't want to see more of me, don't don't sign up to Counter Media. If you do, and again, thanks for the thanks English Meadows. Thanks for joining the channel, joining. I was going to say Advance UK. Yeah, join Advance UK as well. Joining Counter Media. Guys, I'm going to go. I'll see you all soon. God bless you all. Stay safe.